jackpot this time.
Chance for their track to be heard. We all here to support one another, right? Yeah. Come on, y'all gotta do better than that. I know it's cold outside. Help me one, y'all here to support one another, right? Yeah. All right.
We have a great lineup of panelists that will be coming out to give you some information. So pay attention, ask questions. Make sure that you connect with the other people that are in the room tonight. And we have Marshawn Robinson. Let's give him a hand, give him a hand, give him a hand, man. Yeah, warm it up. And they're getting ready to take us further. So again, welcome.
Hello. How are we doing tonight? Yeah? Okay, so we're going to have a real essential conversation tonight. So again, as the representatives of Next Showcase Chicago said, please ask questions. Please be very vocal. Please, if you have anything on your mind, any questions you do want to ask, now is the chance. Okay?
We have an amazing panel that we have created for you this evening. And this is a coup d'etat. So we're going to walk through, down, yes, a coup d'etat. So it's follow on the website. Give us an introduction of who you are and the relevancy to the music industry.
How y'all doing? My name is Tommy B. My background is in the entertainment industry, of course. I'm a songwriter, signed with Universal Roynet. I'm also incorporated with Toxic Productions, of course. You may know, you may heard of a song called Bodak Yellow and Moneybag from Cardi B. That's the latest placement that we got on that. I've been, singing since the age of 5, writing songs since the age of 11. Also done some reality TV work on MTV's Making This Band with Puff.
My name is Ryan Argast. I sing in a band called Marina City. Did a bunch of touring, the Warped Tour bit, the Riot Fest, the whole thing. Had our music placed in a bunch of different things like MTV, Chicago Bulls use our music at times, Chicago Bears as well. And at this point, it's been completely DIY for the most part, so a lot of my expertise is coming in how to find success in being a DIY artist, working with some of the biggest producers and such like that to do that. And on top of that, my day job is actually being an A&R for a merch branding company. Some of the artists that we worked with was JPEG Mafia, Smino, Billie Eilish, Carly Rae Jepsen, Louis the Child, such like that, and building their brands and making sure that they are successful in every aspect of that.
My name is Dex. Most people know me as Dex Million.
Dex.
Yeah.
I manage artist development, CEO of Impact Thing, anything. I just develop artists and manage them and take them to the next level.
To my lovely panelists, right? As a new artist in the industry, when you start creating a song and you start with the essentials of songwriting, to the people in the big leagues, the executives, the labels, what exactly are they looking for in the lyrics that create that spark for what we consider that hit?
Honesty. I mean, looking at something that feels real in that aspect. And can connect. I think a lot of times Bruce Springsteen once said this, that in the verse you sing the blues and in the chorus you sing the gospel. And what he meant by that is that verse is really personal to you and something that no one else can take away from you. But that chorus is something everyone in this room can connect to, no matter what. So maybe simplifying the chorus that's more relatable, but those verses get really in depth with yourself. And I find that that's usually something that people fall in love with.
Say that line again in the chorus.
Yeah, sorry. You sing gospel in the chorus and blues in the verse.
Okay. I like that one.
Speaking of songwriting, it's important that most people say that the words, the lyrics is the most important part of the song. Some people suggest that production moves it forward. But what has been the key, or what has been the most standout thing to you that made you say, this is what's going to move me forward? We know that out of all the labels, different production people, there will always be a need for songs, but what's the one little thing that gives it the spice, the flavor? We appreciate what Bruce said to our other songwriters, but what's the key to that? What's that niche? And the second part of this question is, how do you know? Because you guys have written amazing songs, chart-topping ones, award-winning ones. Well, how did you know, or do you know when that song is a hit?
Okay, so for me, I believe there's two different types of songwriters. I believe there's two different types of songwriters. I believe that on one hand, you got a songwriter that writes from the head, and then you have a writer that writes from the heart. The writers that usually write from the head are usually, in most cases, sometimes are your rappers. The ones that usually write from the heart are usually the, you know what I'm saying, the R&B singers, the pop singers, and neither one is better than the other. It just depends on how you go, because with the songwriters that write from the head, you hear a lot of different punchlines and stuff like that. It's things that make you think. I'm more so of a from the heart type of dude. So, you know what I mean? I let the music tell me what to do to it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I may not have, I'll go in the studio and just let whatever comes out. And I think probably most people these days probably do it like that too. You go in the studio and just whatever comes out of your mouth, you just let it come out. That's how I've always done it. And then afterwards, you piece it together with the words. A person that's a good example of doing both, I would say, is like R. Kelly. Because he can make it so simple, but you know what I'm saying, at the same time put those punchlines in to where you bring it together and make it what it is. So when it comes down to that, like when it comes from the heart, that's when I feel it the most. So I don't necessarily know you know what I'm saying, which direction. I just know when I hear it and when I feel it, it is what it is.
Okay, so let's just touch on the creation process all the way to when you get into the studio. Is there a correct or incorrect way to create a song as far as writing the lyrics, creating the melody, and recording? Is there some specific type of etiquette that goes towards that creation process, or is it kind of free candy? I
believe everybody's different. You know what I mean? Like, I believe whatever makes you comfortable, whatever gets you in your zone, I think that's what you should do. I can't tell, if I'm going into it and I'm instructing you how to be me, I think that's the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Because everybody, I believe that everybody has an audience. You know what I'm saying? If I'm telling you, oh, you should do it like me or do it like this and like that, then you're like in my lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got your own people. There's a lot of people that's doing this, you know what I'm saying, that like the same thing that you like, or, you know what I'm saying, they write the same way that you write. So you got an audience of people that's going to love exactly what you do. So if you stick to doing what you do, you're going to grab them people.
Okay, and next I want to touch on you a little bit as far as artist management. I know a lot of upcoming writers, songwriters, producers, even artists, when they actually do get in the studio and they have a beat pack of like 50 beats and 10,000 tracks, and they're trying to pick out which ones are the right hits that they want to send out to the labels or send out for placements. A lot of times, a lot of managers are part of that process. How do you, in your case or your situations, have you seen managers be pretty much a big key role in helping choose that next hit for their artist?
Just vibing with the artist and who you selling it to most of the time. You know what you can do as far as like who I can pitch it to, but with me, it's just vibing with my artist and letting them be creative and take it from there.
Do you believe that, you know, with a lot of upcoming producers and songwriters and artists, they don't have artist management? Let's say they want to come to someone like you to be artist manager. Is there a certain package they need to show you, like, hey, I'm here, I need a placement, show me some money? Or how does that work exactly?
It's just, for me, it's the energy and you know, the energy just got to be right. The vibe got to be right. You can be good, I can be good, but if we're not connecting and I'm not, you know, that's for me, you know. But for most, you know, as far as like, I just say, just like Tom said earlier, just do you and find that connection. Because a manager could be the most important piece of your career. It can be.
In the process of artist management, Many producers are now seeking management, artists are, songwriters are seeking management. How good do you need to be, or what I've heard the conversation happen is that people need to have so many songs as a discography or first before they try to seek management. How much should they, I would say, stack up or have available before seeking professional management?
You should always be ready to work, or how to work, work ethic. And that's like a big part of it too. The talent, of course, needs to be there, but the work ethic needs to be strong as well.
In the process of that, how many songs should you be able to write well professionally? We know everybody in the NBA is pretty good. It's only 300 people in the NBA, and there are thousands of people that still say they can ball. But in the elite of songwriters, how much are they turning over? How should I be able to write one good song a day? Two, if I'm in the industry, what will be the afforded opportunity? How much should I really be doing?
Well, I mean, I think that every single writer in the world has had way more terrible songs than good songs, right? So the chances of having one good song, if you write 100 of them, is going to be a higher chance than if you write just 2 songs. So, I mean, if you're a songwriter and you're a musician, then be a songwriter and musician. I mean, I was actually having a conversation with someone recently that I actually had to let go in my band at the time was, what's the last artist that you found that you listened to? What is the last show that you went to? What's the last time you just picked up your guitar or picked up your piano or whatever, went to the piano to just like do something for yourself? And if you can't answer those questions, then what are you doing for music then? Like, you're a musician. You should be doing this as this is a natural thing. So, and all the greats, they're not great because they were born that way. They studied the other greats, right? So if you study and you just keep doing that and you're just surrounded by creative people and by people that are pushing you and that are just going off and collaborating, you're going to eventually write something great with that. And whether or not how many songs you need, I don't think that's what it is. I think what it is like, if you have a style that it's you, and you have a brand yourself, and you are an artist. You are not copying someone else. You're not copying the biggest person. You're not trying to be Cardi B 2.0. You're not trying to be Billie Eilish 2.0. You are whatever your name is. That's when a manager is going to be really into you, I think, in that way, because a manager is only going to do is only going to amplify what you're already doing.
They gotta have something to manage.
They have to have something to manage. And so why would it be a fake artist or someone that's not even really in love with music? And in fact, Tommy and Toxic, whoever's back here, actually had me as a signed artist when I was like 16. That was 10 years ago. And what I was writing then and what I'm writing now is so different. And what I thought was good then and what I think is good now is so different. That a hit, it's not even about that. It's just about like how many people can connect with it. And I've been able to create with my band a fan base because of just being relatable to people. And some people think it's cool, some people don't, whatever the case is, but it keeps pushing us forward.
It's almost like what I said in the beginning, like there's a lot of people that like what you do. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm writing songs, I don't determine the hit. The people that love what I do determine that. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm going out and I'm spreading what I'm doing around and I reach all my people, you know what I'm saying? I got more chances of getting that network, getting those group of people that, you know what I'm saying, love what I do.
Everybody should know what a PRO is if you're an artist.
Wait, raise your hand if you know what a PRO is. We're not gonna tell you, we're just gonna make sure.
Say if you do or you don't.
If you know, okay, if you do not know what a PRO is, just slip your hand up. It's okay, we won't embarrass you. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for honesty. Because we're in a room full of creative people, artists, producers, managers. Actually, we'll start off as we go into the technology. Let's talk about what the PRO is.
Okay, so for example,
artist manager.
PRO, Performance Rights Organization. So that would be like your ASCAP, your CSAP, your BMIs. So that's all it is. So you probably already knew what it was, but you just didn't know they called it PRO.
Quick question. Can you explain to everybody what's the difference between the three? Is there a difference between the three?
No, it just depends on what you like. I mean, some have benefits that the others don't, and it's honestly just going to weigh the pros and cons. In the group that I sing in, 3 of us are ASCAP and 2 of us are BMI, and that's just because the 2 guys that were signing up for BMI didn't want to pay the $50 fee at the time for ASCAP. But now when they made their own publishing company, they had to pay $200 where I only had to pay $50 for it. So, and honestly, it ended up really sucking because the band that I play in now, we decided to make our own like communitive publishing companies. So we had to make a BMI one and we had to make an ASCAP one. And so that was kind of.
And I think with CSAC, that's the one that is by like invitation.
You gotta be invited.
Yeah, it's invitation only for CSAC.
Yes.
So that if you know someone that's in it, you could probably get that hooked up. But yeah, other than that,
Yeah.
I've never been afraid to ask. Well, you shouldn't be asking at that point. It should already be known. But when you got the split sheet, you let it be known like, okay, I did this. But that should be in the door, like. You know what I'm saying? Then at that point, you'll know who you're dealing with. You'll know the type of artist that you're dealing with. If they feel, if they come off like they have a problem with you asking for what you deserve. You know what I'm saying? That's the point where you're like, okay, well, I don't think I need to be dealing with you, and you move on to somebody else. Because in the door is letting you know you're gonna be dealing with some garbage.
Yeah, sometimes it's like maybe you sacrifice a little bit for that moment and giving more of a percentage to somebody, but that creates a relationship that next time you guys are still working together, whatever the case is. I definitely had conversations where someone who didn't do really anything wants to take a lot of percentage, and I'm like, all right, well, I still like you, so maybe we'll figure something out here, and then for next time so that we can keep doing things.
Now, when you're talking about like somebody like Beyonce, she get like 50. You say what?
I'll be with Ryan.
Now, they say Beyonce gets like 50%, like she ain't even got to rap. Yeah, so some people say she get 50%. Even if Beyonce didn't write the song and she picks your song, she gets half of it.
And Lady Gaga too.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, but in that case, she doesn't have to use your song. So you have to figure out for yourself if that's a hit that you want to take, because more than likely Beyonce's doing it. You know what I'm saying?
If Beyonce takes your song, raise your hand if you're okay with sharing with Beyonce. Anybody? I think we're okay with Beyonce. Or Lady Gaga, yeah. Beyonce said, you know, if she tells me I'm gonna take a split, you know what, B? You know, we gonna do it for the high. Just go ahead and take that 50% and make this song global for me.
What I will say in the publishing world, right? Whether you're a big producer or you're a big artist or a small producer or a new artist, whatever the situation is, if you do not have a split on a song, which means you do not have a percentage of this song, you do not have credits of this song. So you cannot prove to me that you have participated in the song unless you have like producer deck or something like that where it says that, yeah, you both, your team and their team signed an agreement, this is what I'm gonna get for doing this song. Outside of that, if you don't have a split, there's no visual credit saying, hey, you were part of this song. So that means as a publisher, it's gonna be hard for me to get you a decent deal. So with that in mind, you still have to protect your work, right?
Yeah,
songwriters.
It's a sacrifice. No.
Yeah, you took that.
She already answered the question. Thank you. So yes. Good job. Give it up for no CK, y'all. I'm moderating, but I got to answer the question. There it is. You got to have the sheet. We have another panelist that just joined us. We want him to introduce himself as we move into. We have a few questions from the audience. People have sent up their questions. Some people were texting in. We'll have a discussion about this music technology going into how hip hop has redefined and shaped the culture. Panelists, tell us who you are.
Indeed. What's up, y'all? My name is Ad2. Okay, all right, that sounds good. I'm from the South Side. I'm from West Inglewood. I'm an MC/music mentor. I run a music mentoring program called Haven Studios. It's a free studio for the youth to come in up in Bronzeville. And we've been training a lot of our young MCs to think beyond just being in front of the camera. So now they're all trained up to be engineers, learn how to open up their own businesses, learn about marketing. And I've also been privileged enough to have been signed at one time on Sunday Ninth Wonder. I left the record label when they went to Rock Nation because I didn't like what the contract said. And then also from there, I went on to be I'm the first rap consultant of the Goodman Theater. I'm also part of the Grammy committee. Been doing a couple things, TED Talk, and a couple other things. Yeah. I think one experience that I had that I knew how I guess rooted into just culture in of itself, hip hop was when I went overseas. So I was asked to be a part of James Brown's band, the JBs, to do like a history of funk. And you know, I'm up here thinking about like we're doing all these songs from like back in the day, and I was like, well, what am I even doing here? Because you know, I'm rapping and they want me to rap stuff, but then I started thinking about how ingrained into, or at least carrying the torch, hip hop was between jazz, funk, soul. Like we kind of kept a lot of things at least relevant for a modern audience. Right now, hip hop culture is pretty much like the one pushing culture. If you look at anything that's going on, we're creating culture. Every time you guys look up on Twitter, on Instagram, or anything, we're the ones who decide trends. It's not really driven from pop. It's not driven from country. It's not driven from any other, like all the other genres are getting spilled over because of what we're doing, if you ever pay attention to all of it. So knowing that we're in the driver's seat of it, there's a higher responsibility of knowing how to control it, because one thing we do really well, which is an unfortunate thing, is we make something really beautiful and then we hand it over. As soon as we build something up, something that's extremely powerful, something that makes money, that can create an entire economy, for some odd reason, we like to give it up to other people and let them decide the narrative, let them become the gatekeepers, and almost lock ourselves out when we control everything. So that's one way. When I went overseas, I seen that it was a universal language. People couldn't speak English, could still rap every lyric to certain songs. I went to an open mic, and they adapted all of our culture. Like, they up here snapping, and they said, yo, if y'all feel that, feel that. If you say peace, peace. I'm like, where'd y'all get this from? You know what I'm saying? But it's because of what we do. It's something that can be felt. So I want us to keep that in mind when it comes to us creating, when it comes to us distributing. Remember that you don't have to bow to anyone. Like, if you figure out how to manufacture it with the people around you and just be willing to stick it out, then you'll start to see all the dividends come back through. But don't think that you have to bow down to a machine.
Reiterating the question, hip-hop is global now. How is it affecting business? How is it affecting the culture shaping? We're asking all of our panelists as they go down the line.
The internet, movies, elevator ride, music is everywhere. Hip hop is everywhere now. Commercials, Pepsi, it's just a lot more opportunity. And just here in Chicago alone, I just seen so much. I'm 43, so I've been around, and when he was out here dancing. But I've been around and I saw, from, the Twisters to Kanye's to the Young Chop and Chief Keef and that whole movement, and how they opened up a lot of doors for our city and our culture as well. And everybody's making a nice living off of it.
No genres is because of hip hop. Like, I mean, hip hop can be a country song and go #1. There's not another genre that can do that. Like, you know what I mean? Because, the problem is that it's just all the other genres are so close-minded in different things. Like, the country charts, when that song was getting hot, they tore it down and said, this is not country. Right, exactly. It's like, why can that not be country? Right. And so, like, but hip-hop was like, we'll embrace it, we'll let it go #1, let's go. And then you could do that, Vic Mensa just came out with a punk rock record with Travis Barker. Like, I mean, but if, again, we'll pick on country would never do something like that. So I think that hip-hop has influenced every single person on what we're wearing and why we're even here is because of the hip-hop movement. Absolutely. And so, like, if that is power. So yeah, I think hip-hop has changed a lot.
Just allows you to be yourself.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, hip-hop just allows you to be yourself, and that's all that we've ever wanted to do, like, just be ourselves. So it allows you to express yourself, and it's brought us here.
Absolutely. Quick question. Raise your hand if you've ever had a bad deal or a bad shake, or you had somebody do you wrong in business. Now, I want you to keep your hands raised. Look around the room. And actually, if you look on the panel, we can all raise our hand. Yeah. We've all been shorted some money. So let's get, we've been tried to.
This is definitely something I can talk about because, like I said, I did Puff's making his band.
Right.
If anybody know anything about Diddy, you know them contracts is probably not the best. So, my first, cause this was like the first major contract that I've ever seen. And it was about this thick. But it was an MTV contract and a Bad Boy contract in one. This is before I did the Making Hit, so it's two different ones. It's Making the Band and Making His Band. Making the Band is with Will from Day 26 and all of them. Making His Band is when he was doing his thing for Diddy Dirty Money. He was looking for musicians, background singers, and all of that stuff. So, that Making the Band contract, so it said that he would own, so I'm a songwriter. It said he would own anything that I did before, during, and after this contract throughout the universe. And I've never...
Wait. We got angry people in the room. Wait.
He said throughout the universe.
Take us slow through that again.
He said that he would own anything that I've written.
Right.
Before, during,
God
and after
damn.
the contract. And then the
Finesse.
contract didn't have like a term on there where it said like, no, this is like when he feel like it's done, then it's over. And it said throughout the universe. Like I've never seen anything like this in my life. So you could be on Mars selling.
You leave Earth. You still belong in here.
I own everything that I've never, ever seen anything like this in my life. My mama looked at that and she was like, well, if you sign that, I'm disowning you. So I called my lawyer. He was like, bro, I don't have to like charge you for this, do I? Don't make me charge you to let you know what this is. He's like, you can clearly see it from the beginning. So yeah, as far as bad contracts, I could definitely tell you about a lot of them. Yeah, but that's one. But the fuck that joint was insane. Throughout the universe.
Anybody go down the line? Because we've all experienced. Go ahead, get in there.
Yeah, well, this is a deal that I didn't sign, but I was with this. I'm not going to say who this person was, but they had me for 7 albums. And everything they would do, they would get 50. Everything that I would do, anything that I would touch, even if I made money outside of the band, 50% right away, like you just said, for 7 albums. Did you know that like some of the biggest artists in the world only came out with 3 records? Like and 7 records. So and then we would always have to record with him, no matter what. And then if he got us a label deal, then not only does he get 50% of what we always make, but then he gets an additional 25% on that. So, you know, first time getting a record deal, you're probably, I don't know, maybe 75 grand at the most. There were 6 members in the band. This guy already took 75% of it. Right. This is the producer. I still had a manager. I still had and everyone else, the publisher. When we got into some publishing deals, he would take that too. So it was just like, yeah. So we walked away from it, and a lot of people think we were crazy for walking away from it. But honestly, it allowed me to be the artist that I am today.
Going down the line.
Well, I find, I won't call it a bad deal. It was a sacrifice. And what I got from my deal was a relationship, more so. Back in the days when you needed to sign a deal, you needed the labels, you needed the radio station. They were like the gatekeepers. You weren't going to be able to do nothing without the labels or somebody co-signing. You sacrifice that. So, it's like the split sheets, you know. It's a sacrifice, but it was okay. It was a bad deal, but I got something from it.
Yeah, and I guess for me, it's very similar to what you went through. With at first, when I first got over to the label, we did everything like so it was on a handshake because I'm used to always like managing myself, right. And so for anybody out there if you don't have a manager, if you don't have a full team, don't run away from the experiences of like reading through contracts line by line, getting a dictionary out and finding out what those things mean. Educating yourself, asking questions. I used to be notorious for asking people like, can you explain to me like I'm a 6-year-old? Like I need to know, you know, outright. I want you to say it, and and even before that, I might even record the conversation. Like, hey, are you okay with us recording this conversation? Because I need to understand what we're talking about. And if they say, okay, cool, and we're on the up and up, sure, because I'm trying to protect myself as well as protect you too. And so we did everything on like this 50-50, you know, straight up and down thing. And then when it came to these updated contracts, it said something very similar to that. It was like in the universe, and we own your name in perpetuity.
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Like, to own everything?
Right.
Like, it's one thing if you say, like, we're starting from this point on out. You know, like, this, whatever you make with us,
right,
we have some sort of ownership, and then this is when this contract expires. But if there's none, and you own everything I've done previously, and we've only done maybe 2 projects, no, this doesn't make any sense. And so, and it's crazy because sometimes you be thinking like, man, we supposed to be the good guys.
Right.
You define perpetuity, please.
Man, so perpetuity. Matter of fact, I don't even want to define it because you know what? I think that's where the education happens. 'Cause I can tell you it, but then you might be like, okay, cool, and forget it. But if you actually look it up, screenshot it and save it, it's gonna stay with you, right? So I don't want to make it easy on nobody. I want you to do your education on it. I don't want it to be coming from my mouth to yours. I want you to look it up and be like, yo, that's exactly what that is. Word. But this is an industry, and you also have to remember they have to make money as well.
Right.
This is a business. And if you feel that, okay, I can make enough to live and I'm happy with this situation, what they're giving me offsets what they're taking, fine. But if it's not, not at all. And one of the phrases that one of my friends told me, man, he said, and it's what I take within this industry is, you can be rich or you can be happy, but you can't be both.
And to go on with that real quick, just lost my train of thought. That was that great quote right there.
Let me revisit what I was saying, because I left out something that was real important. When I was telling y'all that making his band and making the band, I did the auditions for making the band and I made it, and that's when I got that contract. Now that was me being an artist. Making his band was me a work for hire. So this is important because I didn't sign that, but year and a half later, the auditions for making his band came and I did that, and I went on to do that entire season. So what's for you is going to be for you. So don't think that you have to sign your life away to be able to get this opportunity, because if I would have signed that, I never would have been a part of that, and this man would have owned everything that I do right now. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to sign your life away just to think that, you know what I'm saying, in hopes that you're going to get somewhere and get this and get that. Like, you wait and use your mind, you'll be able to get to where you need to get to.
And let's be clear, because I'm going to talk from the publishing perspective, right? Contracts are not set in stone unless you sign on the dotted line. It does not matter what is in the contract. Until you sign on the dotted line, that's when it's set in stone.
Absolutely.
So you can renegotiate and renegotiate and I currently just closed my most recent deal with an Afrobeat producer, and we negotiated for 6 months. Since the beginning of the summer, we have been negotiating this deal and renegotiated and renegotiated. Changed in percentages, switched out splits, and we locked in the deal.
With Puff, ain't no negotiation.
Okay, so with them, okay, certain clients, yeah, there might not be no negotiation. However, another thing with everybody who mentioned something about contracts, they understood what they are reading.
Right.
Now, let's say, hey, for example, myself, I'm not that smart. Maybe I don't know what they're saying in contracts. Let's be honest, music contracts are meant to be complicated. They're not meant for you to understand. That's the point.
Yeah.
If I'm an artist, I'm a new artist, right? I don't have any music yet, but I have a catalog of myself that I created. None of this is out. And I start putting the music out and start getting a little fan base. Should I really own my entire master catalog at this point in time? Why or why not?
If you're a brand new artist, yes. but let me just say this. I'm a DIY, I'm a do-it-yourself, independent artist. By choice, yes, but it's not necessarily that I'm never going to sign a deal and I'm just like always independent. It's more out of surviving. Like I said earlier, people are only your team is only going to amplify what you're doing. So there's times that I've not signed a contract because I don't think it's the right contract. And then sometimes I've signed the contract knowing that I'm going to have to give up a little bit, but that's okay because it's going to be a bigger picture here. Now, owning your masters, okay? It's actually more important to own, or publishing is more important than the masters, okay?
Tell them why.
And so this is the reason why, okay? So publishing is actually the songwriting. Is owning the song. The master is owning the recording of the song.
Say it again.
It's owning the song, publishing, a master is only the recording of the song. So if someone owns the masters, okay, but do not own the song, then someone can just go re-record the song and do it all over again. It doesn't matter. The masters don't do anything really for them in that sense, okay? So right now, as an independent artist, you're going to see yourself make a lot more money on the master side because of streaming like Spotify and stuff like that, right? So you'll see that and you're gonna be like, oh, that $300 a month or that $200 a month, it looks super nice. So whatever, the songwriting, I don't really care, whatever. But there's gonna come a time when that songwriting is what's paying for the bills, and that's gonna be the most important thing, because that's where you really make all your money at, okay? So, yes, as an independent artist, if you don't have a team and stuff like that, obviously you don't wanna give your masters away to someone that is just sitting on them, of course, but it's more important to own your songwriting as much as possible.
Absolutely. And before we segue to our next, I do want to say, does anybody know what the black box theory is in the music business? No? Okay, I'm going to give you a little industry secret. So this thing called the black box theory, right? Pretty much what this theory is pretty much saying that within all the songs that are released, you know, that are out there on the DSPs, we're talking about like iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, whatever it is, there's about $3 billion of uncollected royalties every year to every 3 years, right? The company with the highest market share, they collect that $3 billion at the end of each year, right? Now, the main genres that are within that black box are minorities of music. So Latino music, Afrobeat music, hip hop music. Now, who profits off the big black box? The labels. Not even the labels, the higher people, the market share. We're talking about the owners of Spotify, the owners of Apple, right? So they're not going to mention a lot about the black box theory, but it's a real thing. So for those who, again, we're here because of hip hop artists, if you're not registering your music so you can collect your music, so let's say you have a song and it went 5 million on Spotify and it went 10 million on YouTube. You have some money in that pipeline, right? But if you do not register your music on your PRO, so your BMI, your CSAC, your ASCAP, in order for you to collect, 3 years later, if you forgot about it, guess who gets that money in that box? The market. That's people on the market.
We haven't really talked about Sound Exchange.
Oh, Sound Exchange.
And so Sound Exchange is for the actual like performers of the music. So it's like basically the PRO, that whole thing, but for like non-streaming. I'm sorry, like non-on-demand stuff on the internet. So if you're just a singer and you're just a master owner and stuff like that, and you want to get your money just like how the PROs do, you're going to sign up for Sound Exchange. This is the other half of the industry that we're not talking about with that. So make sure, soundexchange.com, you want to register your music on that as well. Check that out.
How do we deal with this thing called branding? Because everybody talks about it, but nobody is really presenting it properly. What are the keys to branding, or what have you seen with your artists, you all who are producers, what have you seen with this branding, those of you who are in management? Give us just a spiel on this whole branding thing.
Cool. Well, one thing I think is really key when it comes to branding is defining yourself before someone defines it for you. And it takes a really honest conversation that you have to have with yourself. So, because sometimes we be like, oh, I can jump into this box, and that may not be you. You know, like, you really kind of have to define who you are. One of the things I do with some of the artists who I help and who I consult, I ask them to pick 3 artists. One, who they like style-wise. You know, like, hey, if I could dress like them, this would probably be like my style, right? 2, their career trajectory. Like, how do they maneuver through the business? What's comfortable to them? Like, that would be comfortable to me if they have that type of lifestyle, right? And then the third thing is just their overall presentation, maybe the way that they communicate their message to their fans, how they interact, whether they be like, man, I'm on, social media all day, or if they be like, man, I just post every now and then like Frank Ocean, like I just pop up and I disappear. And so I think that kind of gives you a middle ground about who you might be, how you want to present yourself, and then maybe even get some outside ideas of people who could like maybe see you for something that you may not even see that you do well. But just make sure it's someone that you trust. Don't get anybody just saying like, oh yeah, bro, you look dope in that, and they don't actually know. But finding out who you are is the most important thing, because when it comes to starting to branch out more than just the music itself, because the brand is bigger than just the song. It's really who you are, what you wear, how you communicate, the messaging. Like, when it comes to branching out and showing out all those different areas of your talent, because those things might actually sustain you longer than the music. So you'll have an area in time where it's just strictly just the album. Then you might have a time where it's strictly just touring. Then you might have a time where you're not doing anything, but you're still relevant. And a good brand is relevant through all those different branches of talent. So if you're a good public speaker, then that might be a branch of talent. And how you communicate. If you're just a content-driven person, then maybe that might be your stream of revenue as well. But you have to kind of really map that out and really be honest about where you want to see yourself, how consistent you can put that messaging out, and then overall just how you can execute it best with a team around you.
Absolutely. That's someone.
We're not in the music business. We're in the brand business.
Wait, say that again.
We're not in the music business. We're in the brand business. And people right now only care about you if you're doing big things. And you can only do big things if people care about you. So you have to make one of them believe something. You have to trick one of them. And a lot of that is by doing something that's so consistent and just driving that home, and that everyone knows when they see you walk in a room or when they see you online, whatever, that's 100% you. And like, if I think of this like the biggest artists in the world, we'll say like Ed Sheeran, Kanye West, and we'll say Pink, right? All three of them, you can describe me, all three of those people right now, because they're so in tune with their brand. Ed Sheeran's brand is that he likes to watch Netflix and eat pizza. And then like he's just like a scraggly, like he's like Scooby-Doo's like sidekick. And it's like, but that's a brand that he holds on to all the time, you know? And so, and then you sell that with merchandising and your music but at the same time, I don't want to say try to be someone you're not. But sometimes, honestly, the music business is also a little bit of a character too. So maybe being more exaggerating who you are is a brand in itself. Yeah.
For me, it's more so just aligning with the music, aligning yourself with the music.
Yep.
It all got to make sense to me. Just like you said about Ed Sheeran and like with T.I., he's a good example. You can listen to T.I. music and look at him, and it all adds up, you know. So, and I worked with artists before. They got the talent, but the brand wasn't polished. They can get people to believe what they say. So
I see a lot of up and coming or new artists that are trying to deliver or package their brand. They use these references, like you pointed out, as references, but then the references end up being exactly alike. So then it's like there's nothing different between you and the next person, right? And if I can't sell anything different between you and the next person, then what makes me want to choose you over the next person? So a lot of people say, think about that niche or that key thing that's different. Think about that thing that literally makes you you. If you talk too much, that's what makes you you. If you got big feet, that's what makes you you. If you really like to, you like to go for a swim, that's what makes you you, right? These little things, and put them together to make it part of your story. Because as someone that, I'm just kind of a music lover, I always like to hear or like to be a part of people's lives because they're telling me a story about themselves. So
another thing with branding, and we'll close this segment out, we got to bring some more people up. It's okay to brag, it's okay to suggest. I have the privilege of working with an artist, he's a newer artist, his name's Lil Tecca. Anybody heard of him? Yeah. And he talks about driving a Ferrari, he talks about a Lamborghini, and what I learned is that he doesn't even have a driver's license. This is facts. He talks about Gucci, he's like, I don't know none of that stuff. But he says, my fans know that I'm just having fun in the music and I'm honest about it. So when people tune into me, they know that I'm being honest. And once you're being honest to people, they can accept you for who you are. It doesn't matter if you are the biggest this, or if you're balling out of control, or if you have nothing. People connect with your honesty and your truth. So the reality is that I'm not a great fashion guy. Like, my wife is a stylist, shout out to her, if you have money. She charges me a lot. But on my flyers, I look like an R&B singer. I'm not an R&B singer. I'm not. But what happened was that when we got with the photographer, we realized that I had to present myself a certain way. And since then, I was always a behind the scenes guy. I do production, back end, office, management. I clapped when everybody was on stage. And so now that I'm on stage in front of everyone presenting it, I realize that I have to present myself a certain way.
I thought the snowstorm would kind of pull people back, but y'all surprised me again. So appreciate y'all coming out, right? Just got a couple of announcements, and then we're gonna get back into the panelists, and then we're gonna switch out because we got a lot of music that we want to hear. I know you guys want to hear your music, stuff like that. Jamal Smalls is in the building, and so we're gonna be playing the music in just a second. But my friend, my big brother, mentor, legend himself is in the building, and we have to pay respect to Twister is in the building.
Give it up for Twister, everybody.
Check me all out. Let me listen to some music as well, so bring in your A game. And of course, he's a Grammy Award producer, man himself. Give it up for Mr. Toxin is in the building, y'all. As you all know, we didn't do this on our own. We partnered with the city of Chicago, which we're extremely excited about. D cases, and we're gonna give that whole spiel. And the man himself, who actually helped make this thing possible tonight, is here. Can y'all give it up for Ramsey Lewis, y'all? Ray Lewis!
So I just want to say real quick, because I know we need to get back to what's going on, that it's our time in this city to pay homage and respect to the people that built this city. A lot of artists, we take our own knowledge of, and we say, okay, they're from here, Twist is from here, Chance is from Chicago, but all these people made it despite of Chicago. Come on. In spite of Chicago. It's time for the city to help build people now. So when we claim people, we can say we truly were a part of their growth. So in 2020, we are and have deemed it as the year of Chicago music. So that means we're going to take our festivals and put our money into Chicago artists and book them on our festivals. Thank you. Amen. And what we're doing, it takes everybody in this room to really buy into it, because you guys are next. I know these people up here are giving you a lot of knowledge from their growth and what they've been through, but it really takes you being uniquely you to stand out, period. Because you're a brand in yourself, no matter what anybody says. People will follow you if you're confident in what you do, period. But I have to say that it's a blessing to see all these people on a 15-degree night come out and show up and show out and sit here and listen. So also, and I know I'm babbling, but we're going to partner with next Chicago Showcase next year to do the Chicago Made A&R auditions with crap. And this is part of it, coming out in the community, putting the grant information up on screen so you guys can know about it. There's money out here, individual artist grants, for you to record, for you to buy laptops, for you to perform, for you to do certain things. You just have to know where the money is. Now, after you know where it is, it's your turn. You got to get up off your butt and get it. Period.
So I appreciate Brother Mark for allowing me to come out tonight. My name is Troy Pryor. I'm the founder of Creative Cypher. We started about 8 years ago. So everything that Next Showcase is doing in music, we do in TV film. So I'm not going to take too much of your time, but you know, a lot of the lines are being blurred in content. So we've been responsible for a lot of the music videos that you might see. I sit on a bunch of artistic boards around Chicago to help artists gain access to production resources, bring their projects to life, and more importantly, maintain the ownership of their intellectual property. I'm going to say that again, maintain the ownership of their intellectual property. And so what we're going to be doing is partnering with Next Showcase, offering resources to help the musicians create their music videos and get your projects to be the scores on some of the film productions and television shows that we work on. So that's some of the stuff that we're going to be doing.
If you have a professional pitcher, keep your hand raised. Good. Now, if your professional pitcher is recent, keep your hands raised. A lot of hands went away. I got old. Okay, good. Because you can put your hands down. Thank you for that. So what we're talking about now is that I'll share something from another music conference I was at. And there was a gentleman by the name of Fat Joe. Anybody know who Fat Joe is? Okay, y'all still leaning back? All right. So we were at a music conference and Fat Joe said, a guy walked up to him. He walked up to him and said, man, Fat Joe, I love what you do. It's amazing what you do. And I wanted to give you my CD. And Fat Joe was like, man, what am I going to do with this? You know how Fat Joe is. He's street. What am I going to do with this? With his New York accent. But the reality was, he said, man, if you don't have an online nothing, he said my CD don't even have a car, B. He's like, my car don't even have a CD player. He's like, how am I gonna listen to your CD? So now we start talking about this thing called online presence. If you don't have an online presence, then how are people gonna find you? And to what Mark was sharing earlier, the reality is that you can get booked and not even have music out. You can be booked without having music out. The thing is called, and I talk about this in one of the classes that I lecture in, it's called a reasonable amount of success. And the example or the case study would be recently, Cardi B. How many albums does Cardi B have? One. She did a couple mixtapes, but she was being booked before the album was out. She was getting 6 figures before she had the record out. So if you have the proper presence and you got everything polished, you can get booked even before you are shown that there's the opportunity that you can prove with your music. So let's talk about that on our panel, and I'll set you up as a DJ. No, CK, I'll come to you first and we'll go down the line. Talk about this online presence thing, because there's a lot of people online and they got a lot of fake followers and not real likes and stuff that's completely irrelevant to we talked about branding. So what's the deal about this online presence thing?
The biggest thing with online presence, again, it kind of goes back into storytelling, right? So with the advancement of technology, Instagram, Facebook, all these different social media apps, and TikTok and all this stuff, there are different ways to make yourself seen. You have to be specific, though, on who your audience is.
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to touch base on that. One is that back in the day, someone used to tell me, maybe you have $1,000 you put towards your song, but then you need like $10,000 for marketing. And I get what they're saying, but the problem is that if I have a crap song and it sounds bad, the marketing isn't going to do anything for me, right? And so when they were talking about having a professional photo, you need to have a professional everything. Don't just go and record in your basement just because it's cheap. It's investing in yourself, because when I always say to someone that's just starting out, it's like, don't worry about telling anyone until you have everything ready. Like music, and you have videos, and you have a show, maybe even a secret show, books, maybe in your basement you do something. So Far Sounds is a really great thing to do. You can book a bunch of shows through that. Check that out.
Shout out to So Far Sounds, they're one of our partners.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't even know. That's awesome. The thing is about that is that, again, what I was saying, people only care about you if you're doing big things. And you can only do big things if people are caring about you, so you have to trick people into believing you're doing big things. So how you do that is by making everything you do look professional. It's quality over quantity. So don't do the cheap route just because it's easy. You'll go so much farther that way. And again, yes, Cardi B did just only have one record, but she did so much work to get to that one record to be really awesome. Same thing about Lizzo. Lizzo has been someone that's been playing beat kitchens and all that stuff forever, and all of a sudden she's arguably one of the biggest artists right now. And it didn't just happen overnight, and she was doing quality over quality. And then what you were just talking about with the, man, I'm blanking. What were you just talking about?
We're talking about the ability of the social media and how we drive it. Yeah.
So, something I used to do when I was younger was I would just post things because I thought they were funny or I would just do things just because I'm like, oh, I saw this other guy do it, so I'm gonna try to do it, or whatever the case is. And then it was cool, but like I didn't have any identity. There was no identity for me. So now I took a step back and I was like, all right, every time I post on social media, I want someone to know that this is who I am, and this is like, I'm always this in some capacity. I'm a caricature of myself, and I always want to push that. I don't want to just do something out of the norm, or out of my norm, just so that I can get a few likes here and there for that. And then, because that does nothing. And like we said, branding is such an important part. So I want to touch base on that.
Okay. Well, one thing I will say, because they touched on a lot of great things already. One thing would be perception is reality, meaning that what you show people, how you present it, is everything. So, like, you could book a show at a really big venue, but if it's empty, it's not gonna look like nothing. But if you have a small room, but you packed it out, and the pictures just show like all this energy, then that's going to be great engagement. Like, people are going to want to be invested. Like when you guys mentioned about like people only care about the big wins. It's like Michael Jordan could have scored 20 for a bunch of games, but we always remember all the heroics. Remember all the things that made it look epic, all the like last second shots. Like, those are the things that stay with us. And people have to have a reason to cheer for you. So it's unfortunately, when you start out, there's not a lot of people who are going to want to go out on the limb and say like they're a fan of yours, because it's not cool for them to say it yet. But yet, if somebody else said it, like if a superstar said, yo, they the next one up, bet you everybody, their mama popping out and saying like, yo, I been said he was on. So that's again, but how do you get there is from consistency, the way you engage with your audience, like find what that middle ground is. For me, I've always been a person who I wanted to be accessible to people. I wanted to be like, so if you commented on something of mine, I wanted to say something and make it feel like it was personal. So now if you see me win, you're feeling like, man, I know this guy. He's a good person. So, and that goes a long way, because I remember so many people who were more humble than arrogant. And I remember the ones who were arrogant, I remember I don't like, whenever they start losing, I'm like, well, I gotta see it coming, you know. And the last thing I'd say is when it comes to just like how you present your overall like messaging is just like really truly dive deep into who you are. Don't be afraid to present that thing you might be running from. So for me, I didn't want to tell the story that as a rapper, I was actually living with my grandmother, helping her taking care of her while she had dementia. I thought, ain't nobody gonna be able to relate to that. I've never heard no rapper say that. And as much as I was doing all this rapidy rap stuff and having bars on top of bars, the only time when people like really started to care is when I started to open up about that thing that I could describe like the back of my hand. The thing I thought nobody could relate to. Everybody popped up out the woodwork. It's like, man, bro, even if they didn't go through that, it was like, I love my grandma and I would hate to see that happen to her. You know what I'm saying? And so things that might humanize you. Because even though we are superheroes to a lot of fans, the thing that might be the thing that they relate to you to is something that might be a place of vulnerability. So, yeah.
And hey everybody, my name is Deontay Durham. So bringing all of this back to from the legal perspective, we're talking about all of these things with branding. One of the things that a lot of us don't think about is when you are, now we're in the social media world, right? And it's so much easier for somebody to be able to access your likeness, right? And we forget about the fact that now on social media from the start, when you're trying to build your brand, this is now your likeness, right? So you want to put yourself in the best position possible to be able to protect what now becomes your likeness, right? We have a lot of artists who have, taglines or whatever the case may be, and they can put themselves in a position where they can trademark these things, right? So they can have merchandise or whatever the case may be and be able to sell those things. So think about that as well. When you're thinking about, how you're trying to brand yourself, think about what your tagline could be, right? We got this whole period situation, right? Or whatever it is, whatever your brand is, think about how you can start to market that and be able to make money off of it, right? And then you want to, of course, make sure that you hire an attorney that can, make sure that your contract and everything is situated so that when it's time to trademark whatever it is that you have now been putting on social media, that you can go, you can put it on a t-shirt, you can put it on whatever, and you can start making money off of it, all right?
Give us our last thoughts, our panelists, from the end as we prepare to close out the segment.
Okay, cool. Well,
The question will be, what is the one last thing to leave with the audience? And at the end of it, tell us your social media, and we're going to move on.
Okay, one last thing I will leave with the audience is you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. And so pretty much just like know what you're walking into. Don't be afraid to speak on your behalf. Stand up for yourself. Don't expect everybody to do you right. Do your homework. Don't leave everything up to everybody's hands. You're the captain of this ship. And so you can't just delegate it to other people all the time. Make sure you're involved. And my name is Add2, and you can follow me on all the social media platforms at Add2the MC, ADD, the number 2, THEMC, and yeah. And if you got any teens or young adults who need a free studio to access, let me know. We got a free studio on 46 and King Drive called Hater Studios. It's a music mentor.
Give it up for Add2, y'all. Feel free to hit them up on your social media. Mr. Attorney?
Yes. So look, for a bunch of us, especially for new artists, you got to remember that your brand, your artistry is a business at the end of the day, right? Every business, I don't care what it is, there is a contract that goes along with that, right? A lot of times, what a lot of, especially up-and-coming artists do, is that they don't hire the right people to put in place to be able to negotiate, like my man just said over here, right? And entertainment attorneys, a lot of times people are like, man, they're so expensive, I can't afford that, I'll try to do this thing on my own, or whatever the case may be. There are small words in a provision, in a contract, that will change the entire game for your contract, and people don't even realize it. It's legalese that is in contracts that you need an attorney that can be able to decipher that for you, because you probably read it and thought, oh, I think I'll be fine. So I used to sing with this gospel group back in the day called New Direction. Got a lot of friends from there who went on to do very big things. But what will happen is they will call me, they get a contract with a record label, some no-name record label. I think it was a contract that eyes got big because they gave them a $20,000 advance, but then they realized they just signed their life away to 5 albums. And now they're in the document was trashed from the beginning. And then they're calling me, to help them get out of that, right? And I'm like, now it's too late. If you would have spent a little bit of money in the beginning to make that small financial sacrifice, it would have been such a better beneficial gain. So the important thing to do, man, make sure that you got the right team around you to help you to negotiate everything for you, because at the end of the day, your artistry is a business, right?
How to reach you?
You can reach me, Deontay Durham, Esquire 1906 on Instagram, or my email, ddurham@dldlawoffices.com.
All right. Give it up for him, y'all.
If you are a musician and you claim yourself you are a musician, then surround yourselves with everything. Invest in it, take it in. Surround yourself with people that are only going to make you better. Not a bunch of, even if they've been with you from the beginning and they're just trash, get rid of them. The other thing I was going to say with that is that if in this life of being a musician, all these people are going to tell you to quit. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you quit and you become a doctor, then you're going to have to face somebody who's all their life wanted to be a doctor. And you're not going to beat them. But you can't beat them by being a musician, so keep doing that. Keep fighting for that. You are a brand. You are always going to be a brand. Be a caricature of yourself.
How to reach you online? And
you can reach me at Ryan Argast on Instagram and Twitter, and my band, Marina City Band.
Give it up for me, y'all. Last thoughts, we're going to our last 30 seconds.
All right, I'll leave you with nobody can beat you at being you. Nobody can beat you at being you. So if you're doing you to the best of your ability, there's nobody that can beat you at being you. So that's mine. Tommy B Official is all of my IG, Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff. No, this is
all right. Give it up for Tommy, y'all.
These panels cool, but educate yourself. Okay,
Each panel is cool, but educate yourself. It's this book called Making It in the Music Business by Donna Paston. That's the book you need. And follow me at Dex Millions.
Give it up for Dex, y'all.
Alright, so I'm gonna leave you guys with this, right? You have to stay true to what you believe in. No matter if you're production, artist, songwriter, whatever it is, you have to stand on it and put that in every little piece of the work you put out. Because that's what's gonna make the audience connect to you more than any amount of followers, money, or anything can buy, alright?